Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to part 2 of this video regarding youngsters, kids, food, training, well-being, etc. So let me just recap on part 1. Part 1 we spoke about kids losing weight, food, nutrition. Then I spoke to you guys about your role as parents when it comes to the kids. Okay, what you should be doing in terms of your family environment, your eating habits, your activity levels, okay, what you are promoting to your youngsters, what you are role modeling to your youngsters, okay. And we spoke about certain foods. Now I didn't go into too much depth about food, so if you want me to explain a bit more about the food and give you examples of what food youngsters should be eating, then by all means drop me a message, drop me a comment, and inshallah I will put another video regarding that. So let's move on to part 2. What is part 2? Part 2, I bunched the questions regarding training, okay? So there was 3 questions, or a little bit more than 3 questions, but mainly around training for youngsters, okay? How often should they train? What kind of training youngsters should do? What age should they be starting training, etc. And then also, you know, a question that I get asked a lot when a parent brings the child to boxing classes is, can you discipline my child? Okay, so I'm hopefully going to touch on this in this part 2 video. Okay, so let's jump straight into the last question, which was, can you discipline my child? Okay, I've had this question put to me many times over the years when I'm doing these boxing classes. Okay, an example would be a kid misbehaved in school, and then they come the next time in lesson and they speak to me and they say to me, can you discipline my child? Now, boxing is known to be a disciplined sport, okay? And a lot of people know this, and a lot of people use, you know, that word discipline when it comes to boxing, and they want to send their kid to it. Why? Because it's hard training, it's rigorous training, and there's routine, okay? Now, in my class, what I try to do is I try to give them positive messages as a group, okay? I talk to them about discipline, but in the training element. So when I ask them to do certain things, I expect them to do it, okay? So if they're cheating, I talk to them about what cheating does to them, how it's letting them down, not me, okay? But I also switch it to say that you're representing me. So if you can't do an exercise and you're cheating, you're letting the team down, you're letting the coach down, okay? And I want my students to go out into their family homes, out everywhere, when they are asked, show us some exercises or show us a boxing trick or combination or shadow boxing, I want them to represent me to the best, okay? So I do talk to them about that. But I talk to them about discipline, so when I ask them to stand in their boxing guard, okay, and keep them hands up, okay, I will say that throughout the whole session. Why? So they're used to keeping them hands up, okay? They're practicing it, they're repeating it. These are the methods we use when it comes to boxing discipline, okay? The other thing I'll be talking to them about is, I'll give you an example from Sunday. When I'm teaching my class, I'm the coach, okay? I'm the ustad, I'm the teacher. When I speak, I want them to stay quiet. I want them to remain quiet and listen to me. Give me their full attention, okay? And I use this as a way of respecting me, okay? Now, on Sunday, I spoke to the class. I was talking to them. I was explaining to them a combination, okay? Young person was in the corner, not listening. He was messing about. I knew he wasn't going to understand the combination. So when I stopped, I asked that young person, I goes, what combination are you going to throw in the bag? He didn't have a clue. And then I asked the whole class, I goes, class, shout out what combination you can do. The whole class shouted out the combination. Obviously, he didn't know what to do. So I explained to him, I said, because he's not listening to me, he's not respecting me, he's not learning, he's not going to know what the lesson is. And when it comes to the partner work, him and his partner won't improve, and he's letting his partner down, and he's letting himself down, and he's wasting his time. Okay, we'll give him a bit of harsh truth there, okay? So again, I explained to them the combination, and that I use that point there, then talk to the whole class about listening to your teacher, respecting your teacher, and then I link that into their parents. I ask them, do they respect their parents? Do they listen to their parents? When they're talking, are they quiet? Okay, so I do that in my classes. Okay, whenever I come across something that I pick up on within the class, I talk to them about it. Okay, so that's a little discipline that I can give them in a class. Okay, trying to get them to train hard, trying to get them to put the full effort in, do their best. Okay, and I'm proud of them doing their best. but that's 1 hour of mine compared to the rest of the week that they're with you. Okay? So, you know, like I said to you before in the previous video, kids come to me at the age of 6, 7, 8 years old. Okay? And then the parent expects me to discipline that child in an hour setting with 20 to 24 kids. And then I think to myself, well, what have you been doing for the past 6, 7, 8 years? Okay? It may be harsh, but it's the truth. What have you been doing? Okay? Now, boxing, we know, obviously does teach them discipline. And I use this time to give them some good reminders about ethic, about role modeling. But you have to do that as well. Okay? They will learn from you. They will learn habits from you, traits from you, character from you. So if you have a good environment in your house regarding discipline, then the kids will learn that. So what can you do in your house to discipline your child? Well, get them waking up early. Okay, get them to do their bed every day. Do you understand? That will help them in long-term life. Okay, if the kid says, I did it yesterday, well, so what? Do it again today. It's your responsibility. Now, as the kid gets older, the responsibilities and chores can increase. I'm not saying a 3, 4, 5-year-old bog them down with so much work. No. I'm neither do a 10-year-old bog them down with too much work. No. My point is, give them something to do. Give them some responsibilities, some challenges so they can do and they can learn to be disciplined in them. Having a meal on the table, okay? Your kid picks his own meal plates up and puts them in the dishwasher, puts them in the sink, or even washes them, helps the mum out, helps the dad out, okay? Don't leave things on the table. But then, are you doing that as well? As a father, for example, are you eating and leaving your plates on the table, expecting your wife to pick them up? Do you understand? So, practice what your child wants to, what you want your child to do as well. Okay, so can you discipline my child? Yes, I can discipline them in a group setting. Okay, I won't have enough time with your child on a one-to-one basis to discipline them. And 1 hour a week is not enough. Okay? But there are benefits to sending your kids to the clubs because they will talk about stuff like this. They will have discipline installed in them through the actual activity. For let's say, for example, football. The kid will go training once or twice a week. They will then play a competitive game on the weekend. So just by going to them 2 days of training and a third day of football game, that is installing discipline in them. They will know routine. They will know structure. Okay? So if you're going to take them to a football game and football training every week, then what else are you doing in the house as well? So build that routine, structure, talk to them about it, and hopefully, inshallah, you'll get some discipline put into that child. And then talk to them about respect, talk to them about models and manners, right? As a Muslim, we talk about ethics a lot. So talk to them about respecting elders. How do you speak to elders? Okay? And then hopefully from that, you can start installing some good manners in your child. Okay, let's move on to the training part then. So, what age do you start boxing at? Okay, what age? Now, different people will have different ages, different sports will have different ages. I purposely start my kids at the age of 5. Okay? I start them at the age of 5. Now, my boxing sessions are not the amateur boxing club sessions or not as intense as them. I teach them boxing skill, I teach them exercise, warm up, etc. and teach them defense and offense combinations, etc. Okay? Get them learning about that. A lot of the parents send their kids to me because of the safe environment that I provide them and also to learn to socialize with kids, make friends, etc. Okay? Now, the 5-year-olds don't do a lot, if I'm honest with you. Okay? Now, I have been asked for kids to start at the age of 3 and 4, and I've refused purely because I know that 3 or 4-year-olds aren't going to do much. The 5-year-olds, some of them get in and get on with it. But then 2, 3, 4 weeks later, they've stopped. Some kids, 5-year-olds will come and they will not leave their dad's side. They will cry the whole session. They will just work by their dad. So they've got that attachment issue, etc. So they don't do a lot, if I'm in all honesty. Okay. So I start my purpose at the age of 5 upwards. Okay. Amateur clubs, boxing clubs, will start them at the age of roughly about the age of 10. Okay. Now, a couple of things to note here. Okay. Some parents will want their kids to start early. You know, they'll want to install that training, etc. into them and stuff. That's fine. and some will leave it later on. You know, there's no right or wrong answer here, okay? But my experience is that if you start them too early, then for example, if they start at the age of 5, by the time they get to the age of 10, 11, 12, in amateur clubs, for example, I'm just talking about boxing here, then they have already trained for 7 years, which was, it's a good time to install good boxing in them. So when they come to the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, they're good already. But then they're sparring with good kids, and they're getting punched in the face, they're getting bloody noses, they're getting punched hard, compared to when they're 5-year-olds. In my classes, they don't do head sparring, we do body sparring, and very light as well. They don't really punch each other. So it's a big difference when they get there. So when they get to that stage and they struggle, and they've had enough of training, especially if they've been going 3 days a week for the past 5, 6, 7 years, they'll give up by the time they're 13, 14. Do you understand? If I look up at myself, I started boxing at the age of 12. I entered the boxing club at the age of 12. Okay, by the age of 13, I was, 12 to 13. I trained for about 3 months, and I had my first boxing fight, okay, at the age of 13. So that was a good age to start. But what I had was that I had an active childhood up until the age of 12, 13. I was already out and about playing football, playing cricket, running around the streets with the kids, biking and everything. So I was already an active child anyway. So that helped me when I went into boxing. I was quite athletic already, and I picked it up quicker as well. Okay, so not everybody, today's kids aren't as active as we were back in the late 90s and the 2000s, for example. Okay, but my advice would be is if you are going to start them young, but don't have too much expectations on them. Okay, let them to go out there, let them enjoy it. Let them enjoy whatever activity they're doing. Don't put too much pressure on them. Don't force them to do it, because then they won't enjoy it and they will stop. Okay, but to be honest, there's no right or wrong answer. But I wouldn't, really get them into hardcore training at the age of 5. I let them enjoy it, a little bit of training, and then take it forward. Okay, now that links on to the next question, which is an important question about how often should a kid train generally. Okay, now when I was looking at this, from my point, then I thought to myself, well, let's see what some of the literature out there says. Okay, let's see what the NHS says about this. Now, the NHS website says that a child who, from the age of 5 to 18, they should have 60 minutes per day of moderate or vigorous exercise or training. 60 minutes per day. Okay, now that doesn't mean there has to be 60 minutes in one go. It can be broken up, etc. But then you need to understand, what does that moderate mean? What does this look like? Okay, now things like, is your kid walking to school, for example, on the playground? Are they running around, jumping around, playing football? Okay, are they doing PE? But are they actually doing PE, or are they missing it, or are they sitting down making excuses not to do? Are they doing PE? Then outside of school, are your kids in the garden playing? Are they bike riding, cycling? Have you got them into like any sports clubs or anything, or do you go to the park and have a kickabout? So are they doing something? So if you break the activity, the day down, 60 minutes isn't a lot. Okay, it's not a lot, and that's across the week. Okay, now what it also said was that the child needs to be doing 2 activities. One is an aerobic activity, which is cardio basically, so getting the heart rate up, running around, playing football, etc. But then also they need to be building their strength and muscle as well. Okay, now if you think about certain activities, like let's say for example football, they'll do a lot of running. They might do some leg work, as a warm-up they might do some press-ups, etc. Fine. Boxing, they'll do a lot of circuit work, body weight exercises, a lot of running, bag work. So all this is building that strength and muscle, building the stronger joints in you as well. So the kids should be doing a bit of both. Okay, and they can do both within an activity as well. Okay, so how often should they train? A 5-year-old, like I said, once a week, twice a week, but even on a daily basis, get them active, get them running on them. The more they do, basically, the more your kid does, the better. Okay, the more they do, the better. Now, let's say for example, when I was boxing at the age of 12, 13, I was attending boxing 3 days a week. Okay, now I can remember I was going 3 days a week, but at the same time, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I was playing football on the streets. In the car park, we were playing football. On a Saturday, we would go to the park, play football. a good hour or two of football. Okay, so we were doing something every day. Okay, when I got more intense into boxing, I was training 3 times a week. I was running twice a week. I was playing football on the weekend. So I was doing something more or less every day. Do you understand? Now, one thing I don't understand is the body is capable of a lot. Okay, if you push that body, if you challenge that body, your body is capable of a lot, and that's what you should be doing with your children. You should be challenging them, and not overdoing them. Okay, if they need a rest, they need a rest. Okay, if they're tired, overworking, that's fine. They need a rest, but then get back on giving them a challenge, and most importantly, make sure that they enjoy what they're doing. If they enjoy what they're doing, they will continue it, and they will build habits, good habits, and that will help them in their life at the moment. And then going forward, long term, it would help them as well. Okay. Now, what is the answer to this? It's different for everybody, different for each child, different age group as well. But if you go on the basis of do something at least 3 days a week, like a club, and most clubs, if you take a kid to football, they probably train once a week and football match once a week as well. So that's 2 lots in the week. To come to boxing, my boxing kids can come to me twice a week. Okay. Other clubs, amateur clubs, 3 times a week. Other clubs, football clubs, they'll do more as well. Thai boxing, probably 2-3 days a week as well. So build that up. Start them somewhere and then build it up as well. Okay. And another thing is on how often should a kid train as well. Look at your family setting as well. Are you guys doing anything as parents? Yeah. If you're not doing something, but then you expect your child to go to a club or train 3 days a week, it's going to be difficult. The kids are going to say, well, why aren't you doing it? Does it not benefit you? Do you understand? So you've got to lead by example and use this as an excuse for you to get into it as well. Go do something in the gym, for example, on your own, or go do something with your kid. Go have a game of badminton with them. Go get a ball and go kick the ball around in the park. Don't have an excuse for not doing something. Do something so it benefits you, improves your health and fitness, that will help them, but also you can do it as a family, and that will help your bonding with your child as well. Okay, so remember that as well. So I'm going to end this video here. Okay, we just touched on how to discipline the child when it comes to me and my boxing classes, but also the importance of you disciplining your child across the week. Okay, building good habits in them and role modeling them yourself as well. Okay. Second question regarding the age to start boxing. I start my class at the age of 5. Amateur clubs start at the age of 10. Okay, there's no real right answer when you can start your child into boxing, but don't have unrealistic expectations for a 5-year-old. Expect them to do what a 10-year-old is going to do. Don't put too much pressure on them. Get them to enjoy what they're doing. Get them to have fun. The longer they have fun doing the activity, the longer they will do it and benefit their life, inshallah. Okay, and then how often should they train? Okay, again, different ages will have different recommendations, but going off the NHS recommendation of 60 minutes per day of doing something, include that time on the playground in school, but then ask them when they come home and then do some activity at home, go for a walk, build in some activity in the park, or even just at home, do something with them at home. Okay, cycling, in the garden, playing, running around, even just throwing a ball and catching a ball in the house, as long as you don't break the light bulbs, but you'll be okay. So, and then as a kid gets older, putting more activities together with them, even sending them to a club 2-3 days a week, that will help them. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here. I'll look forward to part 3, where I'm going to be talking on about another area of training and how it helps a young person going into adulthood, etc., and ways training and boxing, etc., can help them. So, any question, comments, please drop them in this video, and I'll look forward to part 3 when I see you guys later on. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.